Hey friends, Jesse from Shrink RC. Quick note to let you know that our first body mounts for the Axial SCX10 Pro are now shipping. These are the body mounts for the Mojave 4-door, as you can see. And for the first time, these are compatible with rock sliders. These will work with any SCX10-2 or SCX10-3 compatible rock sliders. I'm showing it here with 4.19 tires because this isn't the body I'm going to be running on here. I'm going to be running a different body on here, so I don't want to cut this body up yet, and I'm just showing it on here for your reference. I wanted to show you how the front wheel lines up. It's a little bit further forward than we normally do, and the reason I did that is that if you run a 4.75-inch tire on here, which to me is what this chassis is really meant for, you're gonna have to cut this all the way back to here to have room for that tire to clear at full compression through its range of motion. So I wanted to make sure that these mounts were really focused on 4.75-inch tires. And like I say, I'm showing you here with 4.19s because these are the best for kind of showing you the alignment, and I don't need to trim the body to show you this right now. But there are some people who will choose to run this with 4.19s, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. So if you want to run it with 4.19s, you can. And this is how the front will line up. And in the back, I'm going to suggest that you get some Revo long rod ends from Traxxas to push that back axle back just a little bit so it lines up better back here. That's actually something we do with all of our body mounts, so that's nothing that's special for this. One thing that is a little bit different is that I'm purposely placing this front axle a little bit forward, even though this is a straight axle, because if you're running a really big tire, like a 4.75, which is what this Class 2 chassis is meant for, you're gonna have to trim so much of that off that you're going to be all the way back to here, and the tire is actually a 4.75, nearly touches the front of this body mount. So that's why this exact placement was chosen. You can see even with a 4.19, this is going to rub and you're going to need some clearance. Part of the reason for that is I put this body down lower than we normally do. Normally I set the body up at a height to where when the front bumper is attached, it comes out sort of perfectly even and level right here. But instead on this one, the front bumper is going to need to dip, or you'll need to cut this back and still probably, I take it back. I don't think it's going to need to dip, but you're going to need to cut this back, run the bumper straight out, and it's going to be cut all the way up to here. And I did that because, like I say, this Pro chassis, it's meant to be a comp crawler thing. And if you're comp crawling, you don't want the body up real high. You're trying to get it down as low as possible. So I followed a little bit different philosophy on this set of body mounts than we normally do. It's not meant for extremely accurate, perfect scale correctness. Instead, I designed it to where you can use a hard body on here, but to do it more in the way that you would with a comp crawler. There's a lot of other options out there for 4.19 tires as well, as you know. One thing I wanted to tell you about is you don't need to trim the interior on this at all. The interior on here fits over the stock transmission with absolutely no cutting or trimming at all. It completely fits over that. And the only real mod you need to make to the body, and don't be shocked because I've cut a lot out of here for other projects in the past, but you can see how you're going to need to cut out here and cut out a little bit of this front edge of the bed in here to clear the shock towers, but you don't need to clear the interior inside. It's got enough room. But that's about the only mod needed on this. I've bobbed this bed, of course. You don't need to do that. But this is going to be a really close fit. Now, if you run the 4.75-inch tires, you're obviously going to have to cut all this open. You might not even worry about extending the rear axle because at that point, you're just going to cut all that open anyway. But there they are, first mounts for the Mojave 4-door. The next two mounts that we're going to do are Mojave 2-door and extra cab. Mojave 2-door is going to fit very similar to this, of course, except the rear fender well isn't going to be in the right spot on the Mojave 2-door. It's going to be about here. So you're going to have to do something to deal with that, and we'll do other videos and information about that in the future. The other body that I'm going to do mounts for is the extra cab. The extra cab is going to be very similar to these mounts. It's just a little bit wider. There's a catch with the extra cab though, and on the extra cab, if you run the 4.75 inch tires, you have to cut so much of this away. You're actually cutting into the door space, and you're going to cut the body apart. So I'm not going to recommend the 4.75 inch class 2 tires with the extra cab, because it's a mess unless you want to glue the doors on and then, you know, weld it all up and then cut it. You could do something like that. But the extra cab is going to be more of a 4.19 tire size situation because of how much needs to be cut away here. But Mojave 4 doors first out the gate. Thanks guys, peace.